Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here early with us.
So early.
For 3 hours. So hopefully you won't be asleep by the next few hours. So we are here to give you a university on Java EE in the back end and the brand new Angular2 in the front end. So because we have time, it's the 3 hours talk. We're gonna divide this university in two parts. So the first part, it won't be slides only, but let's say slides mostly. I will do the Java EE backend part. So I will explain you what the micro profile is in Java EE and what it's not. So 1 or 2 demos, but not too many. Mostly slides to give you a bit of background. Sébastien will then talk about TypeScript, TypeScript 2. So you know, again, brand new. We will be using Docker, so I will just show you bits and pieces with Docker and the micro profile in Java EE. So again, 1 demo. And Sébastien will then dive into Angular2. By this moment, you will mostly have slides, so we will take a break. And then we are here to build a web application in Angular2 with a Java EE backend. So then we will start ping-ponging between the back and the front.
Ping-ponging.
Ping-ponging. That's the beauty of English. You can twist it. So then I will expose the REST backend, and then the Angular2 application will consume these endpoints. And so then it will be mostly a bit of slides with code and demos, and we will show you how to expose a Swagger contract, how to consume it, how to use 8OS links and cores and e-tags and JSON Web Token. Okay, so the morning will be split into these 2 parts. Set up the background first, have a little break, and then come back and build this application. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand, grab a mic. I don't even know if there's mics this morning. Yeah, there's 2. But you can also tweet us if you want. So while one is talking, the other one will be looking at Twitter. So feel free to ask questions with Twitter, and we will try to answer them. Okay?
Thank you.
Who are we?
Okay, and thank you. So my name is Sébastien. I'm from France, so I'm very sorry for my poor English, you know. And by the way, I'm from Microsoft. I'm sorry too. I'm the bad guy here. But you know, I'm a technical evangelist from Microsoft. My job is to be an advocate for our technology. And today I'm very proud to be here at Devox with Antonio to make some demo about what we want to give to the community. I'm an open source lover for many, many years, yes, and I work for Microsoft. This is not incompatible. Full stack developer, full stack, it's I don't, maybe a wild word, but I do a lot of backend. I do some kind of front with Angular2. Node.js and .NET Core advocate, I already said that. I'm a SQL Server man. Before being hired by the company, I was a database administrator. So we can talk about that later if you want. And by the way, yes, I develop on Windows. Yeah, I know.
Not many speakers use a window box nowadays, you know?
Really? That's for me and for you, Antonio.
Well, I'm the opposite. I you know, I mostly work with Java. I've been doing Java for so many years, I don't even count them anymore. I love the back end, but that's mostly because I hate the front end. I started doing Java like most of you, maybe, doing applets. And my applets were ugly. I don't know about yours, but... And then I was doing JSP with servlets, and my JSPs were ugly anyway. And then I moved on to JSF, and then I stopped. So that's why I'll be doing the REST APIs. So my demos will be logs, and you will see logs. And his demos will be blue and white and color. And
But don't be afraid. I'm still a developer, so it will be ugly too.
And yeah, I develop on Mac until, I don't know. We'll see. So we are here to, you know, as I said, try to see how a front end written in Angular2 can communicate with a back end written in Java EE. And we will go through glitches, you know, this doesn't work, let's see how to solve it. Or now we have an issue on the back. Now we have an issue in the front. Okay, so the idea is to build a web application that we're going to show you just now. But before showing you the demo, because it's a 3 hours talk and it's going to be long, we will have a break, and some of you will hesitate to come back. We have this buzzword bingo game. So throughout these 3 hours, we will give you a lot of buzzwords. And at the end of the talk, at the very end of the talk, we will show you a slide, and you have to shout all the buzzwords. And if you win, there will be a prize. So this way, we are sure that you will stay till the end. Otherwise, you won't win this prize. Okay? So buzzword bingo starting from now till the end. Okay, so the demo time now. Sébastien is going to show you the final built-in web application. So it's a conference application. We took all the data from the Devox Belgium database. So we have all the rooms of this venue, we have all the speakers, all the talks, all the schedules, and we decided to make a web app out of that. And you will see that the architecture will get more and more complex, because it's just not one REST endpoint, but many of them. Yes, we will tell you about microservices in this talk too. So Sébastien is going to do a demo of the final product, and this way we know what we're talking about. Okay,
so let's get started.
Yours is number 3.
Okay, yep. Thank you. So here we go. So what you see is my Visual Studio Code IDE, and here is the final application. So as I said, I'm not a designer, but I use some part of Angular2, like the material framework, which give me the possibility to make some kind of smooth menu, etc., etc. And what you've seen here is the data from the backend of Devox Belgium. To make it work on my machine, to be sure to have no problem, I use Docker. Maybe you know that Docker is on Windows today. So here is my Docker installation. Here we go. So Docker is running on my machine. And if I launch my command prompt, I know it's not bash. Docker ps. As you can see, I have a lot of virtual Docker container running on my machine. I don't know anything of that. Some weird words for me, like, I don't know, Java, WildFly, GBoss. I really don't know what is that stuff, but it works. Okay?
It works on my machine.
It works on your machine, and it works on my machine. You make it on the Mac, and it runs on Windows.
We love Docker.
I love Docker. So here is a pretty straightforward list. You have some details about the university and some West problem about UTF-8, but okay. I have the author. We have an attendee list. We can go to the next page, blah, 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 blah. And we have a room number. It's a really straightforward list, and we are going to work on that list. So pretty simple application, all work in Angular2, and we are going to make it again during this conference. Okay, so I think I can let you start with the first part. Antonio, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so this application we will show you throughout the uni uses actually 7 different services running in different machines. Well, could be running in different machines. And I've used the micro profile to implement these services. So before talking about the micro profile, I'll just give you another microservice definition.
Sorry.
Who knows what a microservice is? Can't see you really well. Yeah. Okay, cool. Does anybody have a good definition of a microservice? Yeah. I picked up a few. Small autonomous service working together. That's not bad, but small enough but not too small. That's good. Can be written in 2 weeks. That's a good one too. Single responsibility principle. And you will see that this web application, we pushed it a bit but to the limits, because we are mostly talking about talks, speakers, conference rooms, and schedules, nothing too fancy. But we sliced that in 7 microservices, so we are sure that one service only does one thing. Domain-driven design, hexagonal architecture. I found that funny. I don't know what it is, but you will see there's plenty of talks about microservices. People like me who have been running that in production for the last 15 years. So I do not have a clear understanding and definition of what a microservice is. I quite like the 2 pizza team, I have to say. So the idea is you feed a team with 2 pizza, and that's a microservice. Nevertheless, in Java EE, we actually come from a background of microservice. I was doing Java EE in 1998, 9. And at that time, an EJB was a microservice. The idea of the EJB at the time was I buy an EJB invoice, I deploy it somewhere, and someone has implemented EJB customer, and they both talk through WRMI. That was in 99. And then bad things happened. But so that was the entire idea of Java EE at the beginning. For those who started Java EE long time ago, EJBs were only remote. You could only invoke an EJB through WRMI and IIOP, not HTTP, but and then we had the local call. So Java EE was at the beginning made for those services, distribution and so on. But it felt a bit, things started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we are reaching a point that Java EE is big. I wouldn't say too big. Come to my talk tomorrow, end of the afternoon, and I'll tell you about that. So we had this idea of creating a micro profile. Throughout the history of Java EE was created in 1999, and then in 2009, there was this idea of the web profile. So in 2009, we thought, hey, Java EE is getting too big. let's create a web profile. And now we have this idea of creating even a smaller profile that could be called a micro profile, which basically will be the tools to help you eat these two pizza team. So here is the history of Java EE. It started a long time ago. And the pace was mostly 3 to 4 years. So every 3 to 4 years, we have a new release of Java EE, which is good because the idea is to standardize things. And we can't standardize too early. So we have this path implemented by many application servers and many vendors. And now it looks like once in a while, you know, we have these shifts in our industry. Maybe we are entering a new shift with the cloud. I don't know about you, but most of my customers are slowly moving to the cloud, either for, you know, just build their code and have the Jenkins and Git repositories on the cloud, or even their production. So we are back to a new shift. We are entering this moment where resources are, you know, expensive. 5 years ago, hard drives were cheap, CPU were cheap, memory was cheap. So you could, Monday morning, start up your big application server. It would consume a lot of CPU, and it wasn't a problem because it was cheap. Now we are going to the cloud where resources are expensive, and we don't want to run on an Amazon box application server for nothing. We want to shut it down, bring it up. Unfortunately, starting up a JVM is expensive. Starting up an application server on top of this JVM is even more expensive. So what can we do to shrink that? That's when also all the movement of the microservices came. Make things smaller, of course, to deliver them quickly, etc., but also to consume less. With Java EE, you have an application server, you put 5 wars into that, and if you have to shut it down, you shut down the entire 5 applications and so on. You can't scale, so also the entire idea of the microservices is also to consume less resources. So facing that shift, that's when this idea of the micro profile came. Basically, it began just a few months ago, actually at Devoxx UK back in June. And there was a lot of people sitting around, IBM, Red Hat, and so on. And we were thinking, gee, we are entering this new shift. There's already a lot of microservices efforts in Java EE. As I said, historically, Java EE is just a bunch of specifications. So, it's quite a jigsaw puzzle. We already could take one part of the puzzle and another one. Why are application servers seen as big and fat? And actually, there's already things happening. I'll be using WildFly Swarm to show you an implementation of the micro profile. But also, you have Webs for Liberty from version 8.5, Payara, Tommy. So all these guys are trying to address new features in the microservice architecture. Java EE is already being used in microservice, but we can do better. So that was the idea of the micro profile. So actually, we released a 1.0. So Java EE, 34 specifications. The micro profile, we only have 3. JAX-RS for REST endpoints, CDI for extensions, and JSON-P because when you do REST service, most of the time you do JSON. So we started small. A micro profile is only those 3 specifications, and the idea is to put extra things on top of that to target the microservice world. So basically, we want to implement a circuit breaker and see if we can standardize that. So we take this nucleus of JAX-RS, CDI, and JSON-P. We iterate quite quickly. The 1.0 was announced during Java 1 in September, and we're already working on the 1.1. So we don't want to have this 3 to 4 years gap of Java EE. We want to be quicker, build a consensus quickly also, and standardize it. So I have to be honest here. We are not aiming the JCP. Looks like we will go somewhere else, maybe Eclipse Foundation, and maybe one day, hopefully, take what we've done back to the JCP. So it's not part of Java EE. It won't be part of Java EE 8, hopefully 9 or 10. So it's an effort by the community. So of course, there's IBM, Red Hat, and Payara, and so on. But there's also people like me and Jugs. So, if this micro profile thing and the microservice world, you want to join, there's a website. There's a very open forum. So you just go to micro profile forum. We have samples on GitHub. So really, the idea is to bring a lot of people along, build a consensus quickly, and hopefully move on to Java EE one day. So that was a lot of history about the micro profile that is quite brand new. How do we implement that? So as I said, there's several implementations of this micro profile. I'm going to use WildFly Swarm. So what is WildFly Swarm? Well, first of all, WildFly Swarm is based on a good old JBoss. So if you already know JBoss, if you've been working with that for many, many years, it's an easy move. The idea behind WildFly Swarm is to right-size your services. Java EE is 34 specifications. Today, you either implement all or none. So what about taking only the fractions? WildFly Swarm calls that fractions. Use only the fractions that you need. So what is a fraction? Well, if we are in the Java EE world, a fraction is servlet, JPA, CDI. But it also comes with other fractions, like all the Netflix stack. Spring also, there's a Spring fraction, Logstash, Swagger, and so on. So really the idea is you have your code, you don't touch anything. You don't have to add new code or implement new interfaces. Actually, what you have to do is just play with your POM XML. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm building an application with Maven, and it gives me a war. But if I use the Swarm profile, it's going to give me a fat jar. So I can use both of the worlds, and I will show you later with a Docker demo. So what I'm going to do now, all the services that you will see, I just depend on the micro profile fraction. The micro profile fraction is JAX-RS, CDI, and JSON-P. And then I need a bit of magic, so that's when the WildFly Swarm plugin comes. This plugin, what it does, it lets Maven build your WAR file, and then it takes the WAR file and put it inside a jar file. So I'm going to show you a demo, of, a simple one. I only have a REST endpoint. So in this application, we have speakers, schedules, and so on. But we also have rooms. Here in this venue, there's 8 rooms. So this is JAX-RS endpoint /rooms. And I can add a new room. I'm not sure we will be building new rooms in this building, but I can add a new room. I can retrieve it by ID, or I can get all the rooms. So it's pretty simple because the rooms do not change and there's not a lot. I'm not even using a database. I'm just using a map. The other services will be using JPA and a database, but not this one. So this one is only using JAX-RS. I inject a repository, so CDI and JSON-P, because I'm going to marshal some JSON. Very simple. If I look at the POM XML, it's a WAR packaging. So if I go Maven clean package, that's going to create a WAR file, okay? Nothing too fancy. So if I look at this WAR file, it's 10Ks. Of course, there's nothing in it. I just have my REST endpoint, my repository, one Java class, and a bit of XML. There's nothing. So I can take this WAR file and deploy it on WildFly, on WebSphere, WebLogic. But I won't be doing that. I'm going to use this micro profile thing. So as I said, I'm using a Maven profile that says, well, if you build it with the profile swarm, you depend on the micro profile fraction. So again, JAX-RS, CDI, and JSON-P, and build it, take the WAR file, put it in a jar, and by the way, make it listen on port 9191. So if I do that, so I do the same thing, clean package, but this time I use the profile swarm. It compiles. It creates a WAR. So if you see here, I had the Maven WAR plugin. So Maven does this thing, it just creates a WAR file. And the magic happens after. The Swarm plugin takes all the fractions. So basically it takes Weld, which is the CDI implementation, Rest Easy, which is the JAX-RS implementation, bits and pieces, how to bootstrap things, Undertow, because I need a HTTP server, and it packages all that into a jar file with my code packaged in a WAR. So it's a bit of upside down. We used to put jars into WARs, now it's the opposite. And this time, Swarm created a jar which is 93 megabytes. So we've left the world of the skinny WAR to the new world of fat jars. Java-jar, okay? Everything is in this jar file. So it's an executable jar file, and I just go Java jar, and you can see it's the logs of JBoss. For those of you who know JBoss, WildFly Swarm is ready, and I'm going to show you this. So it was in port 1991. It's this one. So as you can see, it's just a REST endpoint that gives me all the rooms. I can even show you one room by ID. Just with a micro profile, and I will come back into that later. But now we have the best of both worlds. I can either create a skinny WAR or create a fat jar without touching my code. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be using to implement the other services. So that's it for my demo. So now I've explained you the backend. We will be using the micro profile to develop all the other services. Now Sébastien will talk about TypeScript, and then Angular.
Okay. Okay, so just switch on the good one. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to talk about TypeScript, JavaScript that scales. One question before continue. Who doesn't know TypeScript here? Okay, some of you. Okay. Okay, so I will make a quick introduction to TypeScript. First questions. Do you know those guys? The first one on the left. Anyone? Okay, it's Brendan H. It's the daddy of JavaScript. He is the creator. He have made JavaScript in I don't know, maybe in early before the maybe I don't know 98, and he was the CTO and CEO of the Mozilla Foundation, and right now he is the CEO of Brave Software. He make a new generation of browser. You can grab a beta of Brave today if you want. So he is mainly focused on the ECMAScript foundation, and it's a well-known guy, and when he says something, you know, you have to believe it. And the man on the right, maybe someone, it's a little bit harder. Okay, no one. It's his name. It's Anders Eschberg. Okay, with the pronunciation, and he is the daddy of C#. He's a C# creator. He's from Microsoft. He's a technical fellow at Microsoft, and actually is the lead on the TypeScript project. Technical fellow is maybe the biggest title in Microsoft for technical guys. Only Bill Gates could make someone technical fellow, and like as you know, Bill wasn't on the company, so we maybe have, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 fellows on Microsoft right now. He's one of them, so it's for me it's maybe a god. Okay, so here is Brave if you want to test it. I have on my machine. It's a pretty cool browser. It works only on HTTPS. By design, by default, you have an AD blocker, etc., etc. So give a try. We are going to talk a little on ECMAScript. As you know, the most ECMAScript 6 is the most important update of JavaScript today, but we are going to go faster in the years coming. Brendan says that they want to have a new spec every year. But when you have a spec, when it's fully implemented, when it's fully ready, the browser have to implement it in the browser, and it maybe takes maybe 1 year, I don't know. So every year you will have a new spec, and every year you will have a 90 build of your browser to implement it. Okay, just in case, here is the ECMAScript evolution. We have the core features. We will have in his 5 new function. The big deal with ES6 today, with class, promise, generators, etc. Array function, I love it. ES7 and tomorrow ES8. ES6 was finalized last year. Today, I think most of the last generation browser implement all the function, maybe, I don't know, 98% of them. ES7 was finalized in May this year, so we will have it implemented in our browser, I don't know, maybe in the end of the year, or maybe the next year, and we will have the next version next year. Okay, so we are going to talk about TypeScript 2 and the rise of the transpiler. Just a quick comparison between transpiler and compiler. You know, you can use compiler everywhere, but if you want to know really the definitions, when you transpile a language into another, it's always the same base language. When you transpile TypeScript to JavaScript, TypeScript is JavaScript. It's just a superset of JavaScript, but it's JavaScript. So we can't say transpiled. When you compile, like when you make Java, you compile it to bytecode, it's bytecode.
Okay. Yes, it is.
And when you use C#, like I do, we compile to intermediate language. So you are compiling. There is a compiler for JavaScript called mscript. You make C++ and you have JavaScript at the end. So we are compiling because we are changing the language to another completely different. Okay, donc try spelling, compiling as you wish. So TypeScript is a statically typed superset of JavaScript that compiles to JavaScript. Okay, that's transpiled to JavaScript, whatever. As you can assume, if you are transpiling, compiling to JavaScript, well, it works on every browser, every host, every OS, Windows 2. It's open source, it's on GitHub, and when you have such a language with a typed superset, you can have great tools with it. And I will show you some sample about it. By the way, when you work on JavaScript, you have to work with some weird, hard browser. Don't say the name, please.
Internet Explorer.
Don't say the name, I said. Okay, when you are a developer, you want to work for maybe ES6. It's cool. But sometimes, when you work on the server side, you have only ES5. I know the future version of Node.js, the 7.1, will work with ES6. And sometimes, you have to deal with the web front-end on hard browser, and you have maybe to reach ES3 or whatever. And when you use a transpiler like TypeScript, you can use the feature of the last version, and maybe some features that are not in the spec today, and TypeScript will transpile your code on the right version you want. That's the deal. And we are going to continue like that every time we have a new spec. So today we can make JavaScript, you can make JavaScript with TypeScript, and you can target ES5, ES6, ES7, or ES3. Okay, actually you can use every IDE you want. You can imagine that I use Visual Studio Code, but you can use Sublime, you can use Atom, WebStorm, whatever. I managed to make a demo during the EclipseCon on Eclipse. It was hard, but you can use Eclipse if you want. Okay, we have a lot of release, maybe 4 on 1 year, from 1.5 to 1.8, with many features, like async await, like the full support of React.js 6, control flow, etc., etc. The decorators, something we are currently not in the spec, but mainly used by Angular2. The TypeScript 2 was released maybe, I don't know, 2 months ago. So we have the non-nullable types, the async await, non-level support for server side, read-only properties, neighbor type, etc., etc. A lot of stuff. And we are going to continue. We continue to make some improvement to TypeScript, and the dot point 1 will come sooner, I hope. Okay, so just a quick demo, just a quick note on the nullable types, something the community wants, and we have implemented it on TypeScript too. When you work with JavaScript, you have to deal with undefined and null. Oh my God, why do we have undefined and null? I don't know. But you have to deal with it. When you declare a variable, if it's a number or undefined or null. Okay. The non-nullable types is the way to eliminate the undefined and null type on the number. So we can have a new type, undefined, and we can have a new type called null. So if you want to make a string that is JavaScript compliant with your old JavaScript project, you can make it in TypeScript, even if you allow the strict null check properties, but you have to make string or null or undefined. Okay, I will make you a quick demo on TypeScript and on the non-nullable type to show you how it works. So first of all, some of you don't know what is TypeScript, so I will make just a quick hello world to show you how it works. So my English is weird, so I will code, because we all know here how to code in the universal language, I hope. Okay, so here we go. So I'm here, I will make a quick demo, so I will make a new folder. Okay, donc we are on DevOps here, DevOps demo. So when you work with VS Code and TypeScript, you have your command prompt, you make an npm init, -f to be sure you won't tell me what name I want, etc., etc. Okay, that's good. And I will work with TypeScript, so I will make a TypeScript init to make just a config file. So here is my VS Code. As you can see, something really not impressed, a package JSON and tsconfig JSON. So this one is the configuration of the TypeScript, and this one is configuration of your Node.js application. Okay, so I will make a quick file called person.ts. We are in TypeScript. Just make a moment. Okay, and I will make an app.ts file. Okay, we are in TypeScript, so I can make a class, even if I target ES file. So making a class. Okay, class person tech. Okay, here I make a constructor. I will take last name, first name. Donc first name. Here is my type, so I know it will be a string. And last name, string. Okay. I will make two properties. Donc first name, it's a string. Last name, it's a string too. Okay. I will use this first name. You have the IntelliSense, obviously. And we have the last name. Okay. And I can make, I don't know, a get full name function that will return. So I will use the string format new features. Donc a full name. Now, okay, donc dollar of this. Love it. This first name and this one last name. Last name, sorry. Okay, okay. And I will use my app to show it. So I will make an import-export. You know this new module package, new module feature. So I will export my class and I will import it here. So import from .person if, and I have the IntelliSense, so it works. Okay, so I can, I can do a var p new person, donc first name, Sébastien, and last name. Here we go, and I will make a console. Nothing really fancy here. Pip get full name. Okay. So now I have to compile or to transpile from TypeScript. You can use tsc command line. I will use a watcher mode. Every time you saw a file changing, it will launch again the TypeScript command. So here just I make tsc3w, and here we go. So now we have an app.ts and an app.js file. As you can see, this is plain JavaScript using the require plugin. And we have here the function version of a class. We are in ES5, okay? So I have a function, I have a closure, I I have a constructor. I don't have any typing here, but you know, it's a really good JavaScript generation code. If you want to change it, you can here, and we can go to ES6, for example. So TSC will see it, and as you can see now, I have a ES6 version of my JavaScript. And as you can see, we don't have a function and a closure. We have a real class. It's something new in ES6. Okay? And if you want to make it work, we have to launch a node, and we have to make it point on the app.ts. Donc I just will make a F5. Node.js, it's a VS Code. VS Code configuration file, okay, and if I make a F5, I hope it will work, okay? Here is my console, and it works, okay? Really cool. And if we want to go further, we can make something really, really fun. We are going to generate the source map file. So we are going to make a relation between the TS file and the GS file, and we are going to say to VS Code to use them. Oh, it's okay, it's already done. So now I can say don't launch app.js but app.ts, and now I can use something really cool called the debugger. Yeah, we are in JavaScript, you know. Okay, now I can make this one and can have the full, I don't know the right word, but you know what I mean. You can make some watch here, blah, 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 blah. Everything's cool with the debugger, okay? And I am on JavaScript. Okay, that's the first demo. So here is TypeScript, something really, really simple when you come from a managed language. I will show you some other demo on what's come with TypeScript 2, maybe this one. Okay. Hello. So here is something really cool with the null. Okay, so my demo is not ready. I'm sorry. Blah blah blah. Okay, let me just change this one. Okay. Sorry for that. Okay, here is it ready? Okay. So here is okay, let me just change that. Okay. Here is a JavaScript file, JavaScript function, you know? Everyone here has already write some JavaScript like that. It's full of mistakes and errors here, okay? Because, as you can see, I can pass a null here when I call the method, and if you don't check if we have null here, we will have an error here. But when you are in JavaScript, it's very permissive and you don't see such errors. So that's why we are going to enable the strict null check features of TypeScript, and it's not defined in the ECMAScript spec, so we have to enable it in the TypeScript configuration file. So I will make here a true, and now the IntelliSense has saw that there is null checking. So you see that there is some kind of error here. Okay. The first one is your text can be possibly undefined. So if it's undefined, you can make a for each, and it will return an undefined result. Okay. So we have to make something like that. Maybe if text. If not text, allez, come on. If not text, return 0. Okay. It's work. But we have here the possibility to pass null. So we have to deal with it when in our function. So maybe we can make a string or null. And right now it says to me, hey, but you know, if you pass null in this function, your line maybe could be possibly null, and you can call the length properties. So we have to make here if line and also line.length. So here we go. Now you have a function, a JavaScript function without any error. Okay? That's why we can use such feature on TypeScript to make better JavaScript, I hope. Okay, this was my first demo. So another demo. Oh, I love this one. Okay. Who has never write such function? Please, someone raise your hand and say you never write such code. Okay, no one. Oh, really?
Yeah, I never write JavaScript.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. So here is a function test. You have a variable who could be string, or array, or null or undefined. Okay? So if we are here, what kind of type could we have in this part? S could be string or string array, correct? So if we are going in the else, we will have undefined or null. Is it okay for everyone? Well, no, because string empty is false. Okay? It's fun. It's JavaScript. If we have, this one, I love it. Triple equals or double equals. You know, when I write JavaScript, I always write triple equals because I see everywhere triple equals. So I never write double. But why? Why? Really, why? So if I'm here, if S is double equal undefined, so here we will have null or undefined, because the double equals check the both. So here we have only string or string array, and if it's triple equal, it only checks undefined, so we could have here a null. And if S is object, we can have string or null, because null is an object, I know. Or we can have here string or undefined. So be sure that the compiler, when you use a typed version of JavaScript, knows about your types. So, how to change this crappy version of my function? I just can say something like that. Return or equal undefined. Or maybe don't make this kind of function because you have it on just a double equals. Okay? And the next version is the control flow, something very cool too. We have a function that can return A, B, or C, or D, or E. If I'm here, my X would be A, B, or C, or D, or E. If A is an instance of A, so we'll have A. But if I change my code, the compiler will see it, so X will be a B. If X, else if X is a B or C, so X will be B or C. Or if it's or D, it will be E. Obviously, here, what will we have? Come on, guys. We will have, obviously, B or C or E. I know everyone I see it. Okay? That's the control flow. TypeScript could, I don't know how to say it, read your code and know which type you will have during your algorithm. Pretty cool stuff. The last demo is about async await. I love it. Here is a cool function you have already saw. It's the HTTP GET URL with a promise. So here we have a promise here, so function with a resolve and a reject, and HTTP GET JSON function. We will use the promise of HTTP GET and return a new promise. And when I use it, I just will make a HTTP GET JSON file. Okay? Pretty straightforward stuff. You all know how to make a promise. And if you want to see how it works with the async new stuff, it is the same version. So every time you have to deal with a promise at the first step. Okay, the HTTP GET version didn't change, or you have a promise, you have a reserve and result. But here is the difference. When you called the HTTP GET from the HTTP GET JSON, you have directly a await here, and you just make an async function. If you want to see the difference, here is HTTP one here. Okay, so here is the first version, and here is the second version. Okay, so it's mainly different, but it's the same at the end. Okay, and if you want to use it, as you can see here, if you want to use your file, you can, even if you write async method, you can use the promise version. Okay, it doesn't change anything for you. But you can use the async function, and I return an await HTTP GET JSON, and you called your proxy method, because every method you called with a await should be marked as async. And you can use a cool anonymous function with an array function with a console log, blah, 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 in one line. And it's pretty easy to read. No? Okay, here is the async version. So, some new stuff from TypeScript you can use today. And even if you use async, even if you use the null checking, even if you use whatever you use in TypeScript, you can transpile it on any kind of version of ECMAScript. So use it. Okay, so I will use now anything else you will make on the next part.
A couple of weeks ago, I was in a Angular2 conference, and the guy was talking about TypeScript 2 and type checking, and everybody was clapping, and I was, what? S is a string. Wow.
Yeah, wow. I know.
So that means you can't put an integer, and I was like, oh. Okay, let's come back to more, serious stuff. I don't understand what he says, and he doesn't understand what I do. And actually, I live in north of France, and he lives in south of France.
Yeah.
So we were using Skype, and I was, hey, it's pretty easy. You just, to run this REST service, you just install JVM 1.8-102. You put WildFly, make sure you have your Java home, and you package it with Maven. Oh, you don't have Maven? Install Maven, and then you deploy the WAR file into WildFly. And then we said, let's do something. I'm going to create Docker image, and I'll give them to you, because Windows now use Docker. So I'm not going to talk about Docker, but just to show you how Docker can be used in this micro profile world of Java EE. So, Docker is about containers. When you have this build, ship, and run, which is actually what we did. I was building images, shipping them, and he was running them. So everything is a container, and I will show you what it means. So we use Docker to run these containers, and what we've also done is use Docker Compose to start up all these containers. As we will show you at the end, this application is built in with several REST endpoints running on different containers. So I'm going to use a WildFly container. So I'm going to do these two exercises. I'm going to use a WildFly container in Docker and deploy a WAR file. But I'm going to also just take the Java container, the JARE, and deploy my fat jar with the micro profile. So to deploy this skinny WAR into a WildFly, we just inherit from WildFly, so I'm using the latest 10.1. We expose a port. What I've done is I've created an admin admin user, so I can have access to the console, but you don't have to. And then I copy this skinny WAR file into the deployment of JBoss. This is the skinny WAR file thing, okay? I'm gonna use the fat jar. Fat jar, well, I don't have WildFly anymore. Remember that it's a fat jar, self-sufficient with everything in it. So I just use a JARE, I expose a port, okay? And I copy the fat jar and execute it, okay? I'm going to do these two exercises in the demo just to point some changes. Here we go. So I'm coming back to this very, very simple REST endpoint, you know, the same one that gives you the rooms. And I've used Maven, actually, to build these two images. So here is the Docker file copying the WAR into WildFly, and this is the fat jar into JARE. Docker images, I don't have these two images, okay? So I'm going to build them. Maven, sorry. Maven clean package. And I'm going to start with Docker WAR. So that's a profile. I can show you the POM, but it's not Docker WAR. So here I just use the Docker Maven plugin, and I'm going to build this image. So it's just a shortcut, so I don't build it by hand. So I'm going to build that. Maven clean package Docker WAR. It compiles, it creates the image in 5 seconds. So here, if I do a Docker image, I have the demo one. It takes 582 megabytes. If I build it again, it's going to take 5 seconds. 7 seconds, sorry, 4, because the image is already done. If I build the fat jar thing, here I need to call the swarm profile. You know, the one that's going to build the fat jar with my WAR in it, and then I'm going to build this image. So I'm going to go through the WAR phase with the cheap swarm that's going to create a fat jar of 93 megs, and the Docker file that actually needs to add this fat layer. And that's going to take 15 seconds. Of course, if I do a Docker image, one is 200 megabytes, that's the one that only needs Java and a fat jar. And the other one is 580 megabytes because it has an operating system, Java, WildFly, and I'm copying my WAR file. But you know that in Docker, it doesn't matter. Once you've downloaded your image, your WildFly image, it's there once in your local drive. So 500 megabytes or 200 megabytes, if you have 10 images, the WildFly image is only there once on your hard drive. So when you work with Docker, it doesn't, it's not a big deal to have an image of 200 or 500 megabytes. What's interesting here is to build a skinny WAR, it's much cheaper. In your build, if you have a lot of services and package them into Docker containers, you gain, in this very easy, simple example, you gain 10 seconds for each service. And then we will have bigger services that use JPA and so on. So the fat jar is going to be even bigger. So we went, the history of Java and Java EE is skinny wars. You know, the idea of you only put your code in a WAR file and deploy it in an app server because it does everything. With the Spring guys, we had the fat WAR because you put everything into a WAR file and deploy it into a Tomcat or Jetty. Then we reached a new trend, the fat executable jar. What I've shown you. You know, just make one jar big and you execute it with java.jar. But when you actually live in the Docker world, skinny wars are much better. So we're going to do the demos with fat jars and everything. But we have 7 services. And when I build the 7 services, it takes 1 extra minute. So just to, you know, we go from trend to trend to trend, but actually in a runtime environment, having a Docker image of 500 megabytes, it's not a big deal because it exists only once. If you think of your build time, when you have all those services, you waste a lot of time. So fat jar, fat war, skinny war, you know, it's a debate. And I just wanted to show you that so you make up your mind. We will be using Docker images with fat jars. So now, you know everything about microprofile, the way we're going to use Docker. You know about TypeScript. Now, Sébastien is going to talk about Angular2. That's be using TypeScript. And then we will have a break and we'll start building the application.
Okay. So just, okay, here we go. So who knows Angular 1? Okay, who knows Angular 2? Okay. So Angular 2 was made with TypeScript. Google made a product with an open source project from Microsoft.
Wow.
You want me to repeat something? Okay, really cool. Angular 2 in a nutshell, it's composed by some modules, some components, and some services. You will have some dependency injection, you will have some templating models, you will have some metadata, and we will use it in a really cool way, I think, at least. And I will show you a quick demo. But remember, we have modules, we have components, and we have some services. Here is the hello world of the Angular 2 component stuff. As you can see, we use a decorator in TypeScript, something that was proposed on EX7 but was not implemented right now. Maybe, I hope, in ES8. Angular use a lot of decorator, and as we use TypeScript, it's not a problem because we are going to transpile in a polyfill version of the decorator for ES5 and ES6. So we have a component, we have a selector, we have a template that will be used by the component, we have CSS, etc., etc. We have a module. I don't know how to compare it, but it's like a module in JavaScript. You will have a lot of import and export in that kind of module, where you can declare your dependency injection type. You can do a lot of stuff in modules. And finally, we can write some really cool services which will be injected by the dependency injection model from Angular 2. Here is one, here is a very simple, straightforward services, and as you can see, it's marked with the injectable decorator. And finally, you can use whatever you want to compile and to run your application. During this session, we will use Webpack to bundle your TypeScript file and to launch your application. Okay. As I said, decorator is something not implemented right now in JavaScript, so you have to enable it like I made for the strict null checking. You have to enable it in your TS config file, so you have to put the experimental decorator's property to true, and you can use it. And you can already use decorator in your own TypeScript project. As you can see here, I have a log decorator with a Boolean parameter. So you can imagine that when you make a method decorated with the log decorator, you can have on your log file, on your debug file, something written. And when you want to implement that log decorator method, you just have to write something like that. Don't be afraid, it's not so weird. You have a function with a target is the object called, the property key is the function name, and the descriptor is the function itself. So in this method, as you can see, I just get the parameter, I stringify them, I just get the result of the function, and then put them on the console. Very straightforward. And Angular use it use it a lot. Okay, so when you start an Angular2 project, you have to manage, you have to deal with a lot of stuff. Webpack, TS, TypeScript, component, module, blah, 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 blah. When you start from zero, it could be a little bit complicated, you know? So we have a CLI called Angular2 CLI, which will create all the stuff for you. You just have to call the CLI and it will create your first hello world Angular2 project. So I will do it to show you how it works. Okay, so when you want to start with Angular2, you have to make a new folder. I know. Starter 7 right now. Okay, I will be here and I will. Oh no, I didn't have to make it because. So I will call the Angular CLI nj new starter or 8 this time. I will skip the npm install because we don't have 1 hour to show my command line to get the packages. So I will just make it like that. So you will just create the project without the npm packages. Command guy. It worked maybe 2 minutes ago. So I hope it will now. Come on.
That's a problem with Windows boxes. Very unstable.
It works.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So here is my folder, and if you want to make an npm install, it will make some long time. You can use Yarn. Maybe you know Yarn. It's a new npm version, new npm, no, not version, a new tools like npm, and called Yarn. I use already it here, and here is my NGNew starter 6. I used Yarn instead of npm. Mainly because it's a little bit faster than npm, okay? But it's the same. So here is, you will have to install every package, and it works. So here is my now starter 6. So I will change VS Code. Here is everything. So as you can see, I have a package JSON. It's okay. Oh, I will make just a zoom. You have a TS-lin JSON. You have the Angular CLI JSON config file. You have here a folder to specify your test, because you always do test. Okay, just in case. And you have your source file, your source folder, where you will make your Angular2 application. You have here the main TS endpoint, you have your test file, you have your TS config file, where we have enabled the decorators, and you have finally your application here. So you have the app component HTML, the test file, the component as you already saw in my PowerPoint, okay, and you have your first module, okay. It's really the hello world of TypeScript. So if you want to see it in action, you use your terminal and you just make an ngserve. Ngserve just will call the Webpack and the TS TypeScript compiler and will launch your application. So it will compile. It will maybe take I don't know 30 seconds. I hope, and we will see it. Okay, just in case I have no other one. Okay, it's okay. Okay, so it's building. Okay. 10%, 12, 20, okay, 40, okay. Blah, 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 blah. So Webpack will make a lot of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And right now, if I go to localhost, it works, okay? Really, really straightforward application. It's the app. Okay, it's working, you know. So now I will make some work to show you how it works. Mainly, I can do if I can do. It's a break time. Oh no, I will make a quick demo. If I want to work, I can maybe add a new component to my application. So if you don't know how to add a component to your application, you can use the CLI to make your component. So right now I will use here. So I will make a ng generate component. Okay, I will go in the good folder here. Open in command prompt. Okay, I will make
bigger the font.
Yeah, bigger. So I will stay here. CD. CD app. Okay, ng component. I don't know room because we are going to talk about room. Okay, donc room.cs. Okay, it's okay. So it will generate your first component with an HTML file and with a CSS file. Nothing really complicated here, but it's always better when it's not you that done that. So here is your HTML file, here is your component file, and you will make a declaration in your module here. I always forget to make the declaration in the module, but ngCLI won't forget it. So it's cool. So right now I can use this, or I will make roomworks, and I can use in my HTML, in my app.html. As you can see here, I have the selector called appRoom, so I can use it here and call it here, like that. Hop, hop. Okay. And I hope I don't forget anything here. I think it will work. So I will have to launch again the Webpack. It's okay. And as you can see here, it works. So now I will work in this component to make everything I need from your API. We will show it later. Just to be, we have time.
It's nearly time.
Okay.
Wait,
so
you want to?
No,
you want to show something else?
Yeah, I can. Okay, I will. Really quick.
Really quick.
I promise. So if you want to, I don't know, to show some rooms on your application, you can do something like that. Imagine that I want get rooms. Okay, it will return an array of, I don't know, any. Okay, and I will return something like that. Array, donc name, donc room 1, and I will make copy paste, tac, room 2, room 3, room 4, room 5. And I can use it in the ng init, this point get rooms. I make it on a variable here called rooms. Donc it's an array. Okay, and I make it like that. This. Okay. Silent mode, please. Obviously, when you use that kind of stuff, you know that we will make an HTTP call, a server call. It won't be a synchronous model. So we'll use the observer pattern that use Angular2. If you like promises, it's not the same, but in this kind of demo, we can say the same. So I will use it to return. So I have to make a copy paste, a quick copy paste. Where I am here. So let me check a minute. I don't know, here maybe. This one. I will use the observable from a reactive extension. Okay, come on. Okay, and I will return an observable of that. Okay, okay. And I will return observable of an array of any. And right now, I can use the observable pattern, this point get room, and I subscribe on this one that will return a rooms that I will affect on this dot rooms. Okay. So right now I have an asynchronous model of get rooms and I can use it. And now in my component file here, I can use something like that. Div, I will use ng4 equals let room of rooms. Okay, and I will make a slash div, obviously, and I will make a span with a value. Okay, come on, r.name. Okay, it will bundle it, and if it works, we will see here. Okay, it won't. Oh, I have to save all the file. Yeah, sometimes you have to save. Okay, blah blah blah.
You remember how Java EE was said to be slow when you change code and deploy it?
And it doesn't work. Okay, so I don't know why. I love it. Room works. Okay, let me check. Room works.
Room 5, there's a comma at the end.
Do you think?
With that,
I don't think so. But
you know, with JavaScript, you can do anything and it works at the end. So I'm not sure it's that.
Come on, guys. Okay. Let me check. Oh, no console error. Hey, it's cool. It's also okay. Come on, guys. No. I don't know.
You need an async type.
No, not really. It should work. I don't know. Oh, come on, guys.
Well, you didn't see that? Obvious.
Oh la la la! My God, come on. Really, it's time to make a break. Yeah, come on. Okay. It will be harder in the next after the pause, but you know.
Okay, guys, it's 5:02. Let's take a 15 minutes break so everybody comes back with a cup of coffee at 10:15. And now it was mostly slides, so now we will go through creating the app, APIs, Swagger, cores, 8OS, e-tags, JWT, a lot of Docker and scaling. So enjoy your break time and see you in 15 minutes. Welcome back from our short break. There was a couple of questions on Twitter. One of them was, will your slides be valuable? And I was going to say yes, but unfortunately I have to say no. Because I just heard that
Come on, guy.
SlideShare was bought by LinkedIn,
Yeah?
which was bought by Microsoft.
Yeah, really.
And,
That's cool.
My friend being from Microsoft, we are not allowed to put anything open unless we have lawyers. Is that true?
Come on, guys. You can make it on SlideShare.
Yeah, we will make them available on SlideShare, of course. And, you know, everything is recorded at Devox, so soon it will be on YouTube. Okay, so hope we didn't bore you to death on the first half of this talk, because the idea was to give you some background in the micro-profile world, but also Angular and TypeScript, because now we're going to, you know, the idea is I build the backend and I give him APIs so he can consume them. So first of all, let's talk about APIs. The final architecture of this application will mostly look like that. So the room service we've shown you, I don't have a database because there's only 8 rooms, so we put that on a map. Other than that, the speaker service has a database with all the speakers of Devox Belgium, with biography, etc., etc. Talk, voting, because on the application you can vote, but to be allowed to vote you need to log in, so we're going to talk about that. Schedule, etc. And the idea is the schedule service gives you the schedule of Devox, and then it gives you a link on the talk. So if you click on this link, you go to another service. Okay, so we took the microservice approach to the very extreme. The schedule service only does schedule, and from there, if you need to know what's happening in the talk, you go to another service that gives you the description of the talk, and if this talk is made, you know, done by 2 speakers, and if you want to know the information about these speakers, you click on it and you go somewhere else again. Okay, so one service only does one thing. So we started to build that, and you know, the first dilemma that we all have is I'm going to need to expose APIs, and then you go online and you look for what is a beautiful API? How does it work? I quite like the JSON API idea, so I took some inspiration of JSON API. OData was there before. I think it was made by Microsoft and a consortium, and you know. You hear about JSON. Google has his own guide, you know, to tell you how to write good APIs, and he even gives you examples from YouTube. And basically, we do it our way. You know, it's very difficult to build nice APIs that everybody understands and everybody, you know, agrees throughout the planet. So we took the kind of JSON API approach. So I'm exposing these kind of APIs, and Sébastien will consume them. So the idea is when you get all the sessions or all the attendees, you know, you put an S at the end of your API. So you have infinite debate about plural and singular. We took the plural approach. When you get this API, it doesn't return the entire data. It just gives you a chunk of 20. So then comes all the, okay, but if you give me only 20 sessions, how do I get the second 20th and the third and the fourth? So JSON API just gives this idea of page, and you put a page number. And then when you have this list, you have to sort it. So it's really difficult. So JSON API comes with this idea of having a sort and then you have title, comma, date. So you know the list is sorted by title and date. And if you put a minus, it goes in reverse order. So that's what we did. If you want to create a new session or a new attendee or a new talk, well, you do a post on sessions with an S. Then if you want to get only description for one session, you go sessions with an S slash and the ID. So you can do a get, you can do a remove, and so on. Then you have the entire, we are building a web application. But we might want also to give these APIs, to consume this API with a mobile app. So if you want the description of a speaker, do you take the entire data, the entire bio? So our APIs, when you ask for description of a speaker, only gives you its name, little information. And then you can use different formats. So JSON API comes with this idea of expandable, true and false. Expandable true, you bring more data. Expandable false, you bring less data. Always the idea of bringing the shortest amount of data if you are in a certain network, like being in the tube. So you have expand, but you can also use with format. You can go format equal minimal, expandable, and so on. So that's the approach we used. So what we did is we agreed on a set of APIs that looks like that. And then I gave Sébastien a Swagger contract. So what is Swagger? Swagger is a simple representation of your RESTful APIs. It's quite funny, but it's a way to document your APIs. And if, like me, you've done IT for a very, very long time, we all went through SOAP. There was WSDL, and we found that cool. Then the REST guys arrive and saying contracts are bad. We want JSON. Our database are contractless, are structureless. Our APIs, happy and free. And now we come back to, well, there's a lot of APIs out there. Just please explain me how to invoke them. So we went from contract is good to contract is bad, and we are back to contract is good. But it's in JSON. Swagger is in JSON. So we need documentation. How do you call this API? What are the parameters? What are the status codes, and so on. The contract is written in JSON, not in XML like in SOAP. And it's so... people are more and more using Swagger. It's becoming so common that actually Swagger has been donated to the Open API initiative. So there's actually a spec, coming from Swagger. So this Open API specification will become the standard way of exposing documentation about our APIs. And Swagger comes with an ecosystem that we're going to show you. A lot of APIs written in Java, so I'm going to show you how to use that. And once we have our Swagger contracts, there's also tooling to generate some code, and that's what Sébastien will show you. So in the Java world, so this is JAX-RS API, and again, you can always write your Swagger by hand, but we don't do that. So in the Java world, there's Java APIs that you can put like here. I've got the JAX-RS endpoint that gives me all the details of a speaker. I use this API coming from Swagger, and I give it, a name, a title, a description, a version. Then I have a post, so I can create a new speaker. And then You know, again, I have annotations saying this method adds a new speaker to the conference. And it can return either a 400, a 404, a 304, and so on. And we put these APIs throughout our REST endpoints. Then, two things can happen. Like SOAP, you know, like the WSDL at the end. Now I have this code running in production. And I've configured Swagger. So I just go to my URL /Swagger, and it generates automatically a Swagger JSON file, like the WSDL at the end. Unfortunately, I'm trying to do microservices here. So you've seen that my skinny WAR is only 10K for rooms, but they are mostly around 10 and 20Ks. If I do that, I need the Swagger runtime, I need Jackson, and so on. So my WAR file explodes to 20 megs. So I decided not to do that, not to generate a runtime Swagger. Instead, I've used a Maven plugin. There's a Swagger Maven plugin, and you configure it, and you say, here is my REST endpoint, and you can grab it on /API, and it's version 1.00. And what it does, when you do a Maven clean package, it creates a Swagger file into your code. So you don't need all the runtime. It just creates a text file, and you embed that in your WAR file. So, you know, if you want to make things smaller in a microservice world, you can also do that. So you take the Swagger runtime out. So I do that on the back end, and I end up with this. This is a Swagger JSON file. And I don't know if you see it or not, but I even committed that in the web app folder. So it's there. It's generated. So if I change my code, it generates a new file, and I put it right on the root of the web app. That saves me 20 megs in my WAR file. So a Swagger, you know, this is the rating I will have to vote. So here I have the rating API. Here it's under /API/ratings. And then, you know, as you can see, I have a get that find all the ratings. I can get the ratings per attendee, per sessions, and so on. So I've created, thanks to these annotations in my Java code, I create this Swagger file, and then I pass it to Sébastien, who's going to use it in his tooling. Sébastien, do you want to?
Yeah, obviously. So to use, thank you. To use your Swagger file, you can, well, you know, it's standard. So you can use tools to generate your code from your Swagger file. If you have several tools, blah, 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 but you can use the inline one called the Swagger editor. So you just copy paste your JSON file on the left, and you will generate your client. So you have a lot of clients available, and obviously you have the Angular2 version. And once you have generated your code, you will have a typed version of your Roam service with a real Roam class, with all your properties, and a real Roam service, which will work with dependency injection of Angular2. And like as you see, here is the minimum version of the service generated by the Swagger editor. I didn't write this code. It comes from the editors of Swagger. And as you can see, it just encapsulates the HTTP call in a method called add or retrieve.
So do you want to show us that then?
Yeah, of course. So here is my machine. Okay, come on. Okay. So I am here in my favorite browser, on the Swagger editor. I have already copy-paste the Swagger file. These Swaggers come from my Docker machine. I have an endpoint here that show me Antonio, and I just get it. I really don't know how Swagger works, but I don't care. And I just passed it here. And there is a problem. Okay, and here is your readable version of Swagger with the get room, post room, blah, blah, blah. And here is all the kind of generation client you can use. Angular 1, Angular 2, TypeScript, Node, PHP, Dart, what is Dart? Dart, okay? C#, etc. Okay, so obviously I take the TypeScript version, I download it already, and here is what it generates. So here is the happy model, the happy model here with the happy. I will show you the code and the model here. Okay, and I will do it for every microservices Antonio has made for me for the conference, for the schedule, for the rooms, etc., etc. I will take this and I will copy paste it in my application. Before that, I want to show you if I don't have Swagger, how I can make HTTP requests to my endpoint. First of all, here is my endpoint. Nothing very complicated. I have a Docker machine running on this port, and I have the conference venue /API/rooms endpoint available. And here is a JSON result. It's an array, obviously, and I will code it. So in my TypeScript solution, so remember we have these get rooms. I can get it. I just will make this in commentary, and I will work with HTTP. So HTTP, first of all, we have to be sure that the HTTP module is available. So in my module here, as you can see, by default, it's imported, and by default, it's imported in the module Angular 2. So I can use it everywhere. Okay, so here I will, okay, come on. Where I am? I'm here. Okay, so first of all, I will make an import to be sure to be allowed to use it from how about Angular/HTTP, and now I have the IntelliSense. Okay, so it's cool, HTTP, and I know I will use the response object. Okay, so now I want to make an HTTP call, so this dot, okay, come on, I have to inject it in my constructor. So instead of make a private variable and make equals in the constructor, an affectation, sorry, I can directly make private here, and it will generate the private variable. Private HTTP type HTTP. Okay, so now it's available everywhere in my class. So I can make this HTTP dot request. I will copy paste this one, copy paste, and I will subscribe like I did earlier to this. I will get the rooms, and this time it's not an array, it's a response. So I will just make this dot rooms. So sorry, it's not, it's a response. Okay, this room take response dot JSON. Okay. So I saved and I go to my browser, and hopefully it doesn't work. But I know it doesn't work. I promise. Why it doesn't work? Because we are in the JavaScript world, and we have to manage this weird stuff. It's the cores.
So the first thing that you hit when you do a JavaScript front end with a back end is what's called cores. the origin resource sharing, which is actually a specification. You can find it there on the W3C. So the idea is you can't access across domain boundaries. Here we'll have 7 services running on several machines. You know, here it will be physically on our machine, but it could be throughout the world. And, you know, JavaScript and programming have grown, but we still have this issue. You know, that's an issue that comes from the very beginning of the web. You don't want a browser to go to one place and then go to somewhere else. But with JavaScript, that's what we do. So we need to prevent JavaScript. Well, we need to allow it actually to do this kind of calls. You know, is front end will need to go through all the services. So the specifications. The specification gives you a set of access control you need to put in your header. So in my backend, I'm going to have to say, I allow origin, you know, I allow cross-origin, I allow only the get method, or I allow get, post, and put. You know, so I have to go through all these methods, put them in each time I give him a response, okay? So to do that in Java EE, it's quite easy. We have these things called providers. So we take a container response filter. So we're going to filter each time a response is brought back to the client. And what we do is that we take the headers of the response and we just go access control allow origin star. And then I will go access control allow headers, because we will have to change headers. We will show you the E tag, the authorization. The credentials too, because we're going to log in and so on. The access control allow methods, if we only allow gets, or if we allow get, post, put, etc. So the first thing I need to make sure is each time I have a response, I need to set that. The good thing with JAX-RS is you write it once, and by default it's everywhere. So now each time he invokes one REST service, one of my services, I'll bring back in the response these 4 headers. Well, there's actually a few more, but the slide is too short. So he just show you the how it it doesn't work because he just hit that. Now he's going to show you the method that actually works. So I've set the right headers. So now it should work if you do exactly the same demo.
Yeah. To be honest, when we prepare this session with Antonio, we work with Docker, with TypeScript, with Angular2, and I think probably 90% of our problems come from cores.
Because there was always something missing in the bloody headers.
Yeah, come on.
And you don't want to go star, 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 but sometimes...
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so here is my first endpoint. As you can see, it's this port, and in the header from the response, there is no cores enabled. So if I go on another port called 9292, this time I have the cores enabled from my JSON API. So this time I just have to change here on the port, and I hope it should work without doing anything else. Come on. Okay, bingo, it works. So we have here the rooms, the real rooms. Okay. So now you know I have Swagger. I want to use a real class called room, and I want not to use HTTP. I want to use a room service. So I will take my generated code. Here we go, this one, and I will copy paste it in my project. Come on, we will make it here. I don't know where I will put it. Here, okay, here. Come on. Riven Explorer. Okay, here. I will make a new folder called I don't know MS for microservices.
That's cheating.
Okay. Now here is my code. Here is the API. So it's generated, blah, blah, blah. It uses the HTTP. It uses observable. It uses an executable. And here is all the method generated by the Swagger contract. So I have the HUD.
So you haven't touched this code at all. It's
no,
the Swagger tooling that creates all that.
If I touch it, it will be some bugs.
Okay.
Okay, and here is my room. It's a generated class, nothing really fancy here. So I will declare my room service. It's injectable. It's a dependency injection. So I have to declare it in my module. So import, donc import here from dot app dot ms dot api dot default api. If I'm lucky, I have the NT license. Yes. Okay. And I will. Okay, come on. What is that? Cannot find. You cannot find, and you make the. Hello. Oh no. Okay, I'm here. Okay. This time it's okay, and I will make it available as a dependency injection. Okay, and now in my room component here, I will use import from where I am dot slash ms slash api slash default.
God, that's a funny way to import class. Could you imagine that in Java?
Default. And okay, I can use it, and I will use another way to import with a store imports from tag slash ms slash api slash model slash models to be sure to import everything. And okay, I will make something like that. Intro as models. Okay. I make a mistake. Not API here. By the way, we have IntelliSense, and when I make an error in a string, TypeScript and VS Code is.
Well, that's 2016, you know.
It's smart to to say it to me. Okay, so now I don't have a room. I have models. Models.room. Okay, I don't have to make an initialization. I need now a private room services. It's a default API, and right now I can use this .room services, and magic happens. I have all the method available. I don't know how it works, but it's okay for me. All rooms, I can make any extra parameters, and I can, as always, now subscribe to this. This time I don't have a response. I directly have the rooms available. These rooms, and as you can see in the pop-up, it's a real room array. Get rooms. Okay. And I hope, oh no, it won't work because my friend, you forgot to change here a new contract, the good.
Oh yeah, the URL is not good.
Okay.
So all the generated code has all these proxy things and HTTP calls and everything. You just need to invoke a method, and all the magic is done behind.
Yeah. Okay, is it working? Yes, it's working. So that time I used the Swagger contract and the class generated for me. If you want to see the final solution, here is my. Oh, come on! I will make zoom. Here is my final application. As you can see, I have the MS folder. Here is all my generated code, attendees, schedule, speaker, blah blah blah. And to see you I like this one because on schedule, look at me, all those methods available, schedule services, and I have had all session Friday by room, Monday, blah, 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 blah. Everything is from the Swagger contract. Every time I call this method, it will make the correct HTTP request, and I don't care how it works right now. Okay, so we can go further.
So now we've exchanged this contract, this Swagger contract. He can create most of his code. But then we go, hey, there's some things missing, you know. This application should know that DevOps is only from Monday to Friday, and this, you know, give me something that gives me all the talks on Mondays and all the talks on Mondays on room 5. You know, I want this kind of contract. Swagger is good for this contract that doesn't move, but then we need a bit more runtime, you know, agility in terms of contract. So that's this thing called 8OS. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Hypermedia as the engine of application state.
Wow.
So at the core of 8OS is the concept of hypermedia. In other words, links. You know, the web is made out of links, and all the clients are used to go from one link to another link. You follow links. When we are on a web page, we know what to do. You know, we just see a link and click on it, or we see an image and we can see that there's a link behind and we click on it. So as humans, we don't need to know all the contract of this website. We just go there, read, and we know that if there's a link, there's something new behind this link. So this idea of a runtime contract. So I needed to implement that. Unfortunately, there is nothing in Java EE to help me. Well, I shouldn't say nothing, but not much. And it's something that we are thinking of introducing in the micro profile. You know, as I said, micro profile is only 3 Java EE specs with hopefully the missing bits. I know that the Spring guys have an extension called Spring 8OS. I haven't played with that, but the idea is now I'm going to have to create links, plenty of links, to give them to him. And it's a bit of a pain. The only tool I have, and I'm not even going to use it, it's Jaxeres as a link API. So I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use something easier. You know, I'll see you. But so here is the information about a talk. You know, there's the ID of the talk. There's the title. So underneath, you have the data. So here I will give him the 20 talks. Links. Well, first of all, it's an habit to have a link to yourself. So here you have 20 talks. Each talk has a link to itself. So I just know that if I click on self, I'll have the description of one talk. Pretty obvious. And of course, we can do anything he wants, he needs, to make his life easy. You know, that's the difficulty. It's writing the backend. It's a bit tough because you need to think of all these APIs and formats and tablets and phones and everything. Here is an example that we've created. So first of all, as you can see on top, you have a link to self again, but that's the list. You know, that's at the top. So if you click on self, that's the list of the 20 talks underneath, each talk having a link to itself. Then, how can I tell him, here is the 21st, you want the 20 next ones? Click on that, click on next. So I give him a link called next. And as you can see, the URI is page equals 2. If he goes to page 2, 3, 4, 5, next, he might want to come to the very first, page 1, or to the very last, page 14. And because his application needs to have all the talks on Mondays, all the talks on Tuesdays, well, how do I tell him that? Well, I create new links called Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So this time with Swagger, he created all the code that won't change, but this is more a runtime contract that he could use if he wants. And I'm going to send it each time on the header. Sorry, not on the header, on the top of the payload of the body. So that's part of the data. And actually, this is so common. This is so common things to do that there's a specification about that. If you go to this link, you will see on the left side all the little names that we try to agree on. Let me go back. Self is part of the list. You know, it's pretty obvious. Self is just a reference to me. Next, previous, first, collections, that's again on the specification. But then I create my own, Monday, Tuesday. So if you go to this URL, you will find hundreds of these link relation names. So you can either create your own, but if they are part of this list, I'll suggest that you use that. So people, you know, it's like how to say, you know, a list of names that, you know, everybody agree on. So that's what I did, and unfortunately, there's nothing in Java EE nor in the micro profile to help me. So what I did is I created a linkable resource, so everybody extends that, the room extends that, the speaker, the attendee, you know, everybody, you know, extends that, and I just put a map. The string is the name, Monday, and the URI, if you want to see what's happening on Monday, click here. I didn't use the JAX-RS link API because the link API goes further. It gives you a verb, you know, on this link, what can you do? Get, post, put, delete, just a get, just a post. So I didn't use that. You know, I wanted to make it simple. And then I created methods like add self. So add a reference to me or add a reference to the collection. Sorry. So unfortunately, we don't have an API to help us with that, and he wants links. You know, he wants an API, a smooth API, and that is a bit of work. You know, the back end talking to the front end to make the life easy on the front end. So that's what I've done in the back, and in the front. Sébastien just, you know, if there was links, he will add them on the menu. So we just go, is there any links in, you know, in the body? If yes, I put them on the left bar menu or the top or whatever.
You are becoming a front-end guy, you know?
I can read that.
Okay.
So let's give you a demo. So now, do you want to first maybe give me back the?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just going to show you how it works on the back, and he will, you know, and he will show you. So, thanks to Docker Compose, I've started all these services. So now I have 7 services running, and as I said, most of this comes from the conference schedule sessions. So that's giving me all the sessions. And as you can see, if I click on next, it goes to page 2. So I have the 20 next, you know, and again and again. If you just want to know what's happening on Monday, well, he clicks on Monday. But when it's on Monday, his application won't want more stuff. You know, I'm on Monday, but please tell me what's on room 5. So again, I give them those links. And it's easy to have a link to myself, But then, you know, the schedule is only, I give him the room number 5, and that's all. His application will only write the title of the room. If I want to know more details about the room, then I'll give a link to self, to the room. So he just clicks on the room, it goes to another service on the opposite side of the planet. And now I have the details of the room. And if I go back, same thing. This talk, I have a title, but if I want to know more about the talk, I give a link to the talk. And again, that's another different service. So I go to the opposite side of the planet. And now I have a link to both speakers. And I can, here I am on a speaker. And here I can give you a summary view of the speaker with this expand equals false. So here I just show the minimum. Or I can click on self and have the bio and the acceptable talks, etc., etc. So it's a lot of work trying to agree on APIs and making the life easier to the front end, depending on the device, which is even more work. So here is the, all the APIs and the links. Now Sébastien is going to show what he does with that.
Okay, thank you. So I switch. So first of all, I have a direct question on Twitter to talk about promises. Just to show you, it's very easy to work with promise if you don't want to work with observable. So just to show you the same method before going to 8OS, room services.allRooms. And if you want to work with promise, you just have to call this function to promise. And right now, you can make a then. And with this then, you will have everything you used everywhere, these rooms. Oh, come on. Okay, with a catch, blah, blah, blah. Okay, if you want to use promise with Angular2, you can. Obviously, you have to take a look at observable. I think it's maybe more comfortable, but if you want to use promise, you can. Okay, so I can make it in commentary or whatever. I will close it. And right now, I will go on the final version of the application. So as Antonio mentioned, we will have to deal with the links. Here is my endpoint. As you can see, right now I have a links object and a data array. But Swagger don't use this version, so I have to edit and modify the generated code that I get from Swagger. It's bad. I know it's bad. But for today, I will make it directly in the generated code to show you how it works. The real-world solution is to not modify the code. And in the next version of this sample, I will make a decorator. As you know, if I just annotate my method, I can switch the method with another. So I can get the result of the initial method, and I can inject the algorithm to get the links. But for today, if you come to Devoxx France, you will see the final version.
But it's going to be in French, sorry.
Okay, so right now, to handle this, I will just, encapsulate every single method, return response from the method with the get response method I have right in here. If I have a data property, I use it and I parse it and I make a for each, blah, blah, blah. Nothing very complicated here. And I will just call it from here. I know it's bad. I already said that. But in the next version, I will just use a decorator and it will be OK. And if I want to use it in my attendee component, here we go. So I can, I use a promise here. So I called hello attendees, I get the attendees, and if I want to go to previous or to the next part, I just grab the links parameter. It's something like that, as you see here. It's a string. In JavaScript, a string, you have to deal with all the query parameter. But if you use Angular, you can use the URL search parameters, and you can directly get the page number, and you can go to the next page, because the generated method has a parameter called page, and it knows where to go with the good page. So I use the Swagger contract to go to the right page, and the A2S stuff to get the pages. And when I go to my final application, if I go to the attendees, I have two really beautiful buttons, and I go to the next part. In refresh, it's some Ajax call, so here is all the attendees in my backend. So,
and same thing for the schedule with Mondays and Tuesdays, etc.
etc. So here is the A2S part. We can go to the next one.
Okay, so the good thing with all these links is we can use a bit of caching. We can play with that. So as I've shown you, when I'm on a talk, if I want to know the speakers on this talk, I have a link and click on it. I go to another service and bring the information. And this speaker is in another talk, and tomorrow he'll be giving another talk. And here you are browsing the schedule, and you click 10 times on the same speaker. Wouldn't it be nice to cache? HTTP is very good at caching. There's, cache control since day one in HTTP. The idea is always to reduce bandwidth. Think again of your phone in the tube with low connection, and also to reduce the server load. And if you are on your mobile app and you click on the same speaker again, and if it's already there, then you perceive that this application is responding quickly. So you have cache control. You can give it time to leave. It can stay. This information can stay in your browser, in your phone, in your proxies, and everything. We won't be playing with that. We will be playing with something different: e-tags or entity tags. So it's not caching per se. It's conditional requests. I call the speaker's service, give me the information about Venkat, and if I go back to the same service, I need an information saying, I think I've already asked you about Venkat. Has the information changed on your side? And the answer is yes, we've changed the bio of Venkat, so here is the new one. Or no, it's the same one. So the way it works is we're going to create a checksum on this resource, a speaker, a room, a talk. We're going to create a checksum, and the server will give this e-tag back to the client. Then the client needs to know if the checksum is different or not. So I ask once for the speaker service. I have the checksum 1, 2, 3. Now, instead of just calling the same service, I will go, by the way, I'm contacting you again. Give me the representation of this resource if the checksum is different. That's easy to do in JAX-RS on the back end. So here, I'm going to give him, here is the REST endpoint to retrieve one talk. Because the talk is in the database, first of all, I go to the database and it brings back a talk object. What I do is with this talk, I grab the hash code, use whatever algorithm suits you better. Here I just use the hash code because I'm lazy, but the idea is to have a checksum of this resource. And I have this API in JAX-RS called entity tag. So I create an e-tag based on this checksum. And then I take the request, okay, and I evaluate this e-tag. So either the client has sent me an e-tag and it's the same, or he didn't send me an e-tag, or send me an e-tag and it's different. Is the precondition is null, there's no e-tag, or the e-tag is different. Then I return a response OK with the talk. Okay, so in the body, I'm putting all the information about the talk. And the e-tag, always. If not, I return the precondition, which automatically will return a 3 or 4. It hasn't changed. Okay, so I just need to do that in all my get methods on attendees, rooms, and so on. So that's the extra work I need to do. And on the front side...
Oh, I love this slide, you know. I really, really love it. Because I don't have to do anything with e-tag. It's already done by the browsers. Unfortunately, this is not my fit. Okay, so
you want to give us a demo?
You. Okay, go. So I am right now on the application. As you see, I have the session, and I can show you the F12, and we will see the Xhasher stuff. Okay. So we will make something different. I will go in private to be sure I don't have any problem. No. Okay, this one. Okay, here we go. F12. Come on. Okay, so I will go. Oh, here is that. So in a fantastic university, JavaScript. Okay, so right now I have HTTP call with status code 200 and the size not too big. It's okay. But as you can see here, on each of these calls, I have the e tag here from the Antonio stuff. Oh, come on, here, e tag. Okay. So so I really did nothing in the code. So I will just make here a refresh, and come on, make a refresh, guy. F5. Bingo, this time I have a 3 or 4, okay? And I don't have, at least I have 500 bytes, okay? And if you want to see the, I don't know, the preview, you have nothing. And for you, it's just like you have a 200 response in your code. Don't try to manage a 3 or 4 status code. I tried. It's a bad idea. Okay?
But that's a bad idea on the front side. Yeah. But if you do JavaScript on the back end, then you need to handle it. But
you can manage, you can handle it in your front side, but you have to know why. If you just want to make cache, just let the browser do it for you. If you want to handle 3 or 4, you can. You have to manage the error raised from the Angular module, HTTP module, but it's a little bit more complicated, you know.
Okay, so now we've optimized things a little bit with e-tags. We are very happy about this application. We can see all the details of everything, the rooms, the speakers. You know, we have all these 7 services. Now we want to vote. You are here sitting in front of us with a web app on your phone, and you're going to say, this talk was good. I'll give you a minute so you can grab your phone and vote for us?
Okay, yeah.
Yep, yep.
We have to vote. Okay, thank you. Can we vote for our talk? Or no?
Yeah, I think we
Okay,
can
good.
vote for
I
our
will.
talk.
Okay.
But before voting, you need to get authenticated. Okay? So you want to vote, and the first thing when you click on vote, it will tell you, hey, who are you, guy? Use a password. You are an attendee, so we have a REST service with attendees. Now that you are authenticated, I want to know it's you. You are the one voting. So how do we handle this use case? Using JSON Web Token. So again, JSON Web Token is something new. Well, we are talking about a new world here. It's only a few years old. And the idea is not a cookie. You know, a cookie is just a pointer to something. That's why you need to replicate state on the backend server. A JSON Web Token is just a lightweight token that goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It's lightweight, so it doesn't matter. And it's not just a pointer. It actually contains data. Do not put a lot of information there. But, you know, the idea is this token will now go in each HTTP headers, back and forth and back and forth. So it shouldn't be 2 megabytes long. So this information, the minimal information that goes in, it's what we call claims. It's encoded. It can even be encrypted. And it's passed in the HTTP header each time. Again, there's nothing in Java EE around that. We are thinking of introducing that to the micro profile because a lot of people are using JSON Web Token. It looks like it's something that could become a real standard. It's implemented by many libraries in Java, but throughout the languages. So the idea is now each time he's going to invoke me, he'll have to carry this token. So he's going to authenticate. The backend will be responsible of creating the first token. And now we will exchange this token each time. And if he wants to vote, I need to make sure the token is valid. This is a token. Okay, so this will go in the header each time. It's not too big. If we put a bit of color, we discover that this token is split into 3 parts: the blue, the orange, and the green. The blue is the header. It gives you the algorithm encryption. And the blue, and the green at the bottom is the signature. And the orange is the payload. So that's the information that will go back and forth. The specification, the JSON Web Token, give you a set of claims. Sub is the subject. I'm logged in. My user is a Goncalves. I can even put the role here. I'm a super, I'm a super administrator, or I'm just a user. The issuer, this service has issued this token. Is it valid? Is he allowed to issue this token? An expiry date. This token will go back and forth, but in few minutes, it will expire, and you will have to log on again. So this is the idea. You put the minimal information you will need. In our case, is just the subject. But if you have a more complex system, you could also put the role. So you are allowed to call this method or not, depending on your role. So on the back end, I need to do 2 things. I generated a token first, and I check the token is valid. So he will have an API to vote, and when he clicks on voting, he needs to be logged on. So he needs to do a post on attendees/login, passing the username and password, the login and password. We didn't use OAuth or anything else like that, so the user and password are in plain clear, which is not good, but we didn't want to make it too complex. Now we have the login and password. Do what you need to be done. You know, I have the login and password, I check the database, I go to the directory, check that the user is valid, blah, 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 blah. At the end, what you do is in the response, you send a response, okay, yes, you are logged in. We know your credential. And in the header, in the authorization header, you put the bearer and you create this token. So this method issue token, I didn't write it down, but it's not a big deal. You need to create a token. Either you create it yourself or you use a library. I've used JJWT from the guys from Apache Shiro. It's just one line of code. You give the login a key. That's important. And this method will create the nasty token that we've seen before. He has just logged on. I give him the token. Now he's going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until he hits I vote. Voting is the only method that needs to be logged in and make sure it's the right guy. So when he sends me back the token, I need to validate it. So what I've done is, again, I've created a filter. I actually gave it a name, so you can do that in JAX-RS. It's a bit like CDI interceptor bindings or CDI qualifiers. You just give it a name, and this name I will put it on my post method. When you vote, I will write the post method, and I will annotate it with JWT token needed. I could call it anything I want. So this filter, each time I have JWT token needed, is going to check that there's a token in the header and it's valid. And again, I extract the authorization header because I know there's bearer and and the token. If it doesn't start with bearer, well, there's an authorization exception. So just by throwing this not authorized exception, it's a JAX-RS exception. It will send him a 40, forgot it, 40 something. If there's a bearer, I validate the token. And again, that's one method. That's one method call. So the idea to take here is put the minimum information in your token. It doesn't cost a lot, and you just go back and forth and back and forth. And you check it's valid each time. Has it expired? Is it the right logging? And so on. So that's what I do on the back end. And what you do in the front end, it's that.
Yeah, thank you. So just on the next one, first of all. So we are going to talk about guards. Guards in Angular 2, it's specific to Angular 2, and it will allow me to make guard on pages and components. Okay. So the deal here is to say, hey, you want what? You want to go to this component. Before going here, you have to be logged. Okay, this is the guard component. And when you are in, and to check if you are logged, as you can see in the slide, I have an authorization service. I just managed to, send a body with my login password. For this demo, we will send the login password in blank.
Yeah, in clear.
In clear type. But obviously, you can use, I don't know, OAuth2, OpenID Connect, blah, 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 whatever you want. They managed to work with JWT2, so it's okay. And I get the JSON Web Token in response, and I can use it when I post the vote. Okay, so I will show you how it works in Angular 2.
So now let's see a demo.
Yeah. So, okay, come on. Okay, here we go. So I will just show you the code I write for that. So here is my authentication guard. It's nothing really complicated. I just say when you want to log in this component, I will define the component later in the routing system of Angular2. Well, if it's okay, I return true. If it's false, if you're not authenticated, we are going to go to this component called login, and I will pass in the query the initial page you want to go to. Okay? You have all see that in your website. Each time you want to go to one page, you go to the login first. You have the page scribed in the query parameters, and it's okay. So here is how it works. This guard, I will apply it to every component I want. How I do it? I do it in the routing module. Here I have the path, a rating ID, and I just annotate it with a can activate with my authentication guard service. So the magic here is that you can use this guard everywhere. You make it, you disable it, you enable it, wherever you want. Okay? So that's cool. If I'm not logged, I go to the login page. In the login page, the login page is here. I just have a very straightforward form, and I will just call the hot service to log my user and to get back the JWT token. And finally, this authentication service is here. I just send, okay, I know, this is weird, but you know, I just send my login password and I get back the JWT here. And if my JWT is okay, I'm okay, I can go through the vote. Here is the final solution. So we are here, I want to vote, I click on the vote, and the vote just say, go to the vote page, go to the vote component, sorry. Okay, I click, but the guard says, no, before you have to be logged. So I will use my, yeah, I know, it's in blank, but you know, for the demo. So I submit, I will check the JWT, and it's okay right now. Right now, in my response, I have the header. I can maybe check the file and vote. If I click, it won't work because my code is buggy, but you have the, you know what I mean. You just pass, okay, I will show you the code. I'm on the vote, here we go. So in the submit, I take the JWT token, I just create a new headers, I pass the authorization and the header, and I just send the request. I promise I will finish this sample tomorrow, maybe.
Not ready yet. Nearly there. So the good thing with JWT is, you know, as I said, we don't have cookies, we don't have, you know, I come from a Java EE background where we have clusters and failovers and we have cache replication and so on. With JWT is, you know, everything is stateless. Only the little amount of data is going back and forth in this token. So the good thing with stateless architecture is they can scale better. I come from a stateful world where trying to scale and have clustering and failover is a drama, well, complex. Now things are getting easier. Scaling stateless architecture is easy. We don't have any cookie. We don't have any HTTP session to replicate. We don't have caching, distribute caching, or whatever. Stateless scales better than stateful. And because it's completely stateless, we don't have to go through all the failover thing. We just round robin, easy. So if, let's say, this application is under load, a lot of people are voting, maybe I want to scale my voting service, not the others. And once it scales up, at night, people don't vote and I want to scale it down. That's easy now with this kind of stateless architecture. we just need a bit of dynamic. How do we know that I've created 10 more instances of this service? How do I know I have decreased this number? There's many ways of doing that. We've been doing that for decades. But now with Docker, there's this thing called traffic, which I've been using for a few months, even in production with Docker. And it's really traffic. It's a nice HTTP proxy. It's brand new. It's in version 07. It was created just not long ago with Docker and with the containers in mind. So it's not just Docker. So now we're going to need a proxy. And this proxy needs to be a bit clever. So that's why I'm using traffic. To say, hey, look, I have 7 instances of the voting service. So I'm going to round robin through all these voting services. And because he sends me the token back and forth, I can go to instance 1 or instance 7. So I'm just going to do a quick demo of traffic. First of all, now things are getting a bit complex. So I have a Docker compose that says, well, I have a microservice, attendee, rating, schedule, speaker, venue, talk. That's a lot of... And in front of that, I'm going to put traffic. And then, so traffic is listening on port 80. And here on each instance of the service, I'm putting some information for traffic. So we can go to one or the other. So here I'm saying, if you have conference attendee, go to this instance. So I use these traffic labels. So here I have the Docker Compose. So if I go Docker Compose up, of course it's going to take a bit of time because it's starting traffic, quite easy. But it's going to start all the 7 microservices all running with WildFly Swarm. So if I go to the traffic console, I can see it's warming up. Okay. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're almost there. I think, yeah, it's still deploying. So traffic is dynamic. If you know Docker, if you type the command Docker event, you see all the events of Docker. And traffic listens to those events. So traffic knows that Docker has created a new container or has removed a container. So now I think it's more or less there. So if I show you, go back, to the speakers. So that's one instance. And if I go to the schedule, again, so the traffic is done through a URL. I go /conference/schedule, and the traffic console will go, well, if you go in conference/schedule, then you should point to this service. Good. And as you might know, with Docker Compose, you can do Docker Compose scale, and you can go voting. The voting is under load. I have here a voting service. Boop. It's not there. Voting. I don't have the voting. Can you believe that? Anyway, let's take another one. Let's take, I don't know, attendee. Yeah, I wonder why it didn't deploy. Strange. So here I have one instance of the microservice attendee. So the good thing is, no, attendee is not good, sorry. Let's go to speaker, maybe. Yeah, speaker, because here I can easily go to a talk, a room, session. God, I'm getting lost. Oh, that's the whole, not good. Let's take a proper talk. Sorry, I cannot. Room number 5. Okay. So here I have a talk. Yes, that's a real talk with a speaker. Okay, and here I can go to the list of speakers. Next, next, next. Okay, with the links. So if I do MS speaker, so I'm scaling this microservice, saying 5, and it's going to create 4 extra services. So that's Docker. And the good thing is trafficked notice that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instances. And because my architecture is completely stateless, now it will fail miserably. Oh, okay. I promise it was working. Oh, maybe you need a bit of time to refresh. So that's a good thing now, and I could have done this with voting. Being a completely stateless, architecture, you can do that, and with new proxies like traffic, but there's others. You can do that. You can just go. You can downscale, okay, and it's going to remove 4 instances, and traffic will recognize it. So that's the beauty of stateless applications.
3 minutes left to finish
oh my God, 3 minutes
production part.
And there's still the buzzword bingo. People have to...
So I have 2 minutes.
Yes.
To make a full application in the production mode. Wow. Okay. So here we go. Okay, come on.
It's my slides.
Yeah, I know.
You want to do that here?
Is it a Mac?
Okay.
Okay, so when you have to deal with the production, well, if you just bundle your application, even a hello world is maybe 4 megabytes. It's a little bit too much when you just have a single page with a hello world. 4 megabytes in one single JavaScript file. It's too much. But you have Angular CLI and Webpack, and you can manage to make several things to have a little bit lighter JS file. So Webpack, it's a bundler. It will make an uglify your JavaScript code. It will make a standalone file. It will gzip your file, and of course, gzipping text is really accurate. If you want, you can apply what we call a tree checking, and it's really cool because it will really delete all the stuff, all the method of the class from the Angular to SDK that we don't need in our application. And finally, you can use what we call AOT compilation. Just a quick word on that. AOT versus GIT compilation. It's the way you handle your component in Angular 2. Just to know, when you launch your Angular 2 application, it will use an internal compiler to compile your component. You can do it before with the AOT flag. Okay, so quick.
Oh, you're going to do a demo?
Yeah.
My God.
Okay, just to show you how it works in the whale mode. So you are here, you can say ng build, it will just construct your package, or you can test it with ngserve --dev. In this mode, it's packaging your application, one file, one package, but in a dev mode. Okay? So I think I will have something like 3 megabytes in a bundled file. Okay, come on. We have 30 seconds to go. Okay. 3 3 mega. Okay. So I will now change. Control C. Yes, I will just make it with cherry prod flag. So 3 megabyte to main bundle.js 222.
So it gets rid of all the code that's not needed.
And right now it will make the tree shaking. It will gzip your file. It will make a lot of stuff for you. Okay, let me see. Come on. Go, go, go. Time up. Time up, guys.
God, if you had a Mac.
My God. The last Mac, really? Without escape? Come on. Okay, here is the tree shaking that well, I don't need blah blah blah. So I dropping the unused function is strict map because I don't need it. So here is the last. Okay, it's here. Come on, a lot of stuff dropped. So right now we have 200 kilobytes gzipped. Okay, 200 from 3 mega. And right now, I will, yes. Okay, come on, where I am. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, Control C, yes, CLS. And the last one is with the AOT part. AOT. This time I will compile the components from Angular2. It's really the most beautiful production mode, if I can say it. And okay, this is the end. This is the last demo.
The last demo, and then
it have to work.
Yes.
Okay, 91% in French.
91 en belge.
Sorry. Okay, so here
Sorry,
we go.
it was a private joke.
Yeah. So right now it's 157 kilobytes from 3 mega.
My God. Fantastic.
The final words for you, man.
Well, thanks for attending this uni. I hope you enjoyed it. We tried really to go front end, back end.
The ping pong mode.
And as we said, it was 3 hours of sitting and listening and looking at slides. So now we have the buzzword bingo. It's the time of this year where you can earn a nice prize. Not my book. You have to buy it. So we won't be giving that away. But we have stickers here where you can have a 1 month for free Pluralsight course with courses on Java EE, Angular2. There's plenty of courses on Angular2 on Pluralsight. So, ladies and gentlemen, on this white slide, we will put some logos every second. Okay, so there's about 10 logos, and you have to shout the buzzword he hides behind this logo, and the people who shouted can have one of those stickers. Okay, ready? A bit of concentration. It only takes 10 seconds. Ready?
Come on.
1, 2, 3. Micro profile. God.
Swagger.
Wow, that was an easy one. You've all won, so come here, grab a sticker.
Thank you very much.
You.
Have a nice day, guys.